In this video, I want to help you stop making mistakes in the present tense. Have you ever struggled to conjugate an irregular verb in the present tense? Have you ever thought that there are more exceptions than rules when it gets to the French verb? Then yes, this video is for you. Let me help you understand the French logic instead of memorizing tons of silly rules and even more exceptions.
Oh, merci.
In this video, I'm going to talk about the roots and the ending of the verbs to help you put two and two together when you want to conjugate an irregular verb in the present tense. How to say, I know, you believe, or we understand won't be a struggle for you anymore. C'est parti, on y va les amis. There are so many irregularities and weird stuff about the French present tense that there is no point talking about rules. Right, Marcel?
Oh, yeah.
There would be too many exceptions. So instead, I'm going to help you identify patterns and give you tips to understand the global logic of the French present tense. Spoiler alert, there will be some irregular verbs that are easier or more complicated to conjugate than the trends I'm going to explain. First of all, quick vocab recap. The infinitive, it's the title of the verb, the form that doesn't change depending on the subject. Par exemple, parler, manger, dire, faire, pouvoir. All of these guys are infinitives. Then, when you want to conjugate a verb with a specific subject, you need to pick the specific ending for that. The ending, it's the last or the few last letters of a verb, and it's really specific to a subject, like je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, etc. There is also the root. The root is the main body of the verb, the part that is before the ending. Understanding how roots can change depending on the subject is the key to help you understand the logic of the French present tense. Let's check what are the endings for the irregular verbs in the present tense. Marcel, can you help us with that? Can you conjugate the verb finir for us in the present tense, please?
Je finis, tu finis, il, elle, on finit, nous finissons, vous finissez, il, elle finissent.
Merci Marcel. So you see, for je, the ending is S. For tu, it's S again. Il, elle, on, we have T. Nous, ONS. Vous, easy, and il, elle in the plural, ENT. You see, by the way, that the endings for the nous, vous, and il, elle subjects are the same as the regular verbs. Let's look at the roots now. This is when things get dirty. There are three main trends. When the root changes for nous, vous, il, elle in the plural, for the plural subjects. A second trend is when the root changes for je, tu, il, elle, on, the singular subjects. And the last trend, it's the most messy one, it's when the root changes several times and it's all over the place. This is when it gets really complicated. Most of the time, the root is easy to find for the singular subject, je, tu, etc. The irregular patterns are more for the plural subjects, like nous, vous, il, elle in the plural. Let's use finir again to help you understand this pattern, these trends. So from the infinitive finir, you take off the R. There is always an R in the endings of the French infinitives, by the way. So you take off the R and you have your root right away, easy, fini, F, I, and I. Then for je, you add the S, for tu, you add the S, etc. Of course, these endings here, the S's and the T, are silent. You won't pronounce them. Easy for the singular subjects. If you want to conjugate this time with a plural subject like nous, you are a little bit stuck because your root ends with the E sound and then after you want to stick an on. The thing is that French language doesn't like having vowel sounds in a row. We like having a consonant sound in the middle so that it flows nicely and it sounds good. So here you have to know that the French language loves s consonant sounds. to connect a root and an ending in the present tense for irregular verbs. So here we have nous finissons, vous finissez, and il, elle finissent. Sometimes the root is tricky to find for the singular subjects and easier for the plural subjects like nous, vous, il, elle in the plural. Let's use savoir as an example for this trend. Savoir, infinitive. We take off the ending for the infinitive. Here it's OIR. Then we have this root, savent, that we can use together with the ending. For nous, it's nous savons. For vous, vous savez. And il, elle in the plural, ils, elles savent. Easy. But for the singular subjects this time, it's way more complicated to find. And it's not really, there is no specific logic. You have to get used to that. Sorry. So here, for savoir, we would say je sais, S-A-I-S. Tu sais, the same, and il, elle, on sait with the T at the end. The little trick and tip I can give you here is that when you have a verb that needs to be adapted for the root of singular subjects, usually it's going to be just one beat. C'est, je sais, tu dis, etc. for the verb dire, par exemple. So, not big rule or help here, but it's good to know that sometimes you have to pay attention to that. And now the big mess, the verbs where the root is changing several times. Let's use boire as an example. For the singular subject, it's je bois, tu bois, il boit. I think it's pretty intuitive for now. But then, if you switch to the nous subject, it's nous buvons. We switch from BOI as a root to BUV here. It's the same for the vous, it's vous buvez. And then for the il, elle in the plural, it's a mix of the two other roots. It's il, elle boivent. So B-O-I-V this time. This can happen in like a good amount of verbs in the present tense. The trend here to remember is that it's going to be the same root for the singular subjects, je, tu, il, elle, on, and then another root for the nous and vous subjects, and a special single root for the il, elle in the plural. And in general, this root here for il and elle, it's a mix of the two other ones. Let's look at pouvoir because it's really the same logic here. It's je peux, tu peux, il peut for the singular subjects. Then nous pouvons, you see, from P-E-U, this time it's P-O-U-V. Nous pouvons, vous pouvez. And for the il, elle in the plural, it's elles peuvent, P-E-U-V. Again here you see that this last root is a mix of the two previous ones. I want to give you more examples to help you get a bit immersed in this present tense experience here. So let's have a look to these verbs together. You see, aller, être, avoir, venir, etc. are very, very important verbs to know because they are used all the time in our conversations and so on. So if you want to memorize some verbs, I would advise you to focus on these ones and then use these verbs as references for the trends that I described today. Now it's your time to work. Let's do a quiz together. Marcel is going to help. I'm going to ask him to conjugate some verbs in the present tense. Please try to answer at the same time as he does. Tu es prêt, Marcel? On y va?
Ouais.
Ok, c'est parti. Conjugue devoir avec je.
Je dois.
Savoir avec il.
Il sait.
Oui. Vouloir avec nous. Nous.
Voulons.
Ok. Mettre avec elle au singulier. Elle.
Mais.
Ok. Croire avec tu.
Tu crois.
Oui. Tenir avec elle au pluriel. Elle.
Elles tiennent.
C'est bien. Connaître avec vous. Vous.
Connaissez.
Partir avec on. On.
Part.
Et comprendre avec il au pluriel. Il.
Comprennent.
Super! Bravo Marcel! Et bravo à vous aussi, j'espère! Here it is, end of the video. Here are a few takeaways for you guys. First of all, remember that the endings are stable. It's the easy part of the conjugation of the present tense. You have to pay attention to the root. And the root of the plural subjects, nous, vous, il, elle in the plural, changes way more often than the root of the singular subjects. That is pretty easy to find from the infinitive most of the time. A second thing is that if you don't know how to connect a singular root together with a plural ending, like for finir, you feel that you miss something in the middle, try the S letters, sounds. We love it in the French present tense. Like for instance with connaître, we have je connais for singular subjects, and then nous connaissons. It's like nous finissons. It works like that again. And a last thing, because unfortunately there is no rule that can tell you this verb ending with this letter in the infinitive belongs to this category, you're going to have to make your own list to build up your own criteria and reference here. So I suggest that you really know very well one verb for each category, and you use this verb as a reference to help you conjugate the other ones. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope my tips help you understand the trends of the present tense. Sorry guys for the French present tense being so messy and complicated to understand. But I hope I helped a little bit today at least. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt pour une prochaine vidéo. Salut tout le monde!